Our scripture reading today is from the book of Matthew, chapter 2, verses 1 through 12. Let us hear the word of the Lord. In the time of King Herod, after Jesus was born in Bethlehem of Judea, Magi from the east came to Jerusalem, asking, "Where is the child who has been born King of the Jews? For we observed his star in the east and have come to pay him homage." When King Herod heard this, he was frightened, and all Jerusalem with him. And calling together all the chief priests and the scribes of the people, he inquired of them where the Messiah was to be born. They told him, "In Bethlehem of Judea, for so it has been written by the prophet, 'And you, Bethlehem, in the land of Judah, are by no means least among the rulers of Judah. For from you shall come a ruler who is to shepherd my people Israel.' Then Herod secretly called for the Magi and learned from them the exact time when the star had appeared. Then he sent them to Bethlehem, saying, 'Go and search diligently for the child. And when you have found him, bring me word, so that I may also go and pay him homage.' When they had heard the king, they set out, and there ahead of them went the star they had seen in the east, until it stopped over the place where the child was. When they saw that the star had stopped, they were overwhelmed with joy. On entering the house, they saw the child with Mary, his mother, and they knelt down and paid him homage. Then, opening their treasure chests, they offered him gifts of gold, frankincense, and myrrh. And having been warned in a dream not to return to Herod, they left for their own country by another road." This is the word of God for the people of God. Thanks be to God.
Thanks be to God indeed for his most holy and excellent word to us today. I'll have to be honest with you. I've had an experience that allows me to affirm what I have heard, that night skies are often amazingly bright when you get far away from the city lights. I live in the area over near Parrish. It's actually called Palmetto, but it's on the other side of I-75 that most people call Parrish. And so I have to describe it once in a while. It's not an urban kind of area. It's not like the city. There's a buzz and there's an electricity about the city of Bradenton. There's always something going on, even into the wee hours of the night and morning. But over in the country, things are a little bit different. I still awaken most morning to the sounds of cows and roosters and dogs barking because they're locked up in their kennels. I still awaken before the sun rises to take my dog out for a brief walk before the sun has come up. As I stand there, as I walk along the sidewalks in my neighborhood, I realize that we don't have street lights. And that is a gift, dear friends. For the absence of street lights makes the sky a gift. A beautiful gift. And just a little over a week ago, on December 26th, just after we had gathered together for our Christmas celebrations, my husband and I, in the wee hours of the morning at 2 or 3 a.m., were loading the car, getting ready to take a journey to North Carolina to spend our time after the Christmas holiday with friends that are closer than family. while we were loading the car, I realized that things seemed brighter than normal. In fact, as I looked up, what I realized was it was the last full moon of 2023. It was huge, and it was close, and it was bright. It was as if the sun were beginning to rise too early, but I knew it couldn't be. Instead, it was the luminescence, the reflection of the sun in the moon that illumined the sky around me. It made me remember the story of the Magi, of the light that shone in the sky that night, that not only caught their attention, but captivated their souls and called them to a quest, to a journey that would take them a far distance, to lands unknown, to a town that had barely left its mark on the landscape of what we call the Holy Land. These strangers come to first Jerusalem in search of a king. The newborn king of the Jews is who they inquire about. But when they ask Herod, he seems not to understand. He seems not to know what it is that they are talking about. And so he calls together the chief priests and the scribes of the people, the religious leaders of the day, and asks them, who is and where is this king of the Jews to be born? The wise ones at first appear as the scribes and the religious leaders, for they are in touch with the wisdom of the ages, the words of the prophet Micah that help to point both Herod and the Magi to the little hamlet of Bethlehem. And so it is that the story of Epiphany's light begins with wise ones, magi, astrologers, wise men, saints of old, those who came seeking to find the child. And so it is that we celebrate the gift of Epiphany. Epiphany is simply a word that means revelation or appearing. And it is the appearance of Jesus that they seek, though they've not seen him face to face yet. They hear the words of the scholars, and they hear the directions of Herod very clearly, that once they find the child, these magi are to return to Jerusalem so that Herod too might go and pay homage to this newborn king of the Jews. The story continues that it is the star that continues on ahead of them, making its way just far enough ahead that the Magi continue to journey. From Jerusalem to Bethlehem, a short 6 or 7 mile journey. But for the Magi, it was worth it. The greatest distance was behind them. What lay ahead was an astonishing gift, an amazing sight, a vision that none of them had ever imagined. The scriptures tell us that as they make their way, they discover that the star stops and they find a home where the baby, who has probably grown a bit, and his mother are awaiting their arrival. And as the scriptures tell us, they knelt down, paid him homage, and presented him with gifts. These magi, these foreigners from another land, these worshipers of another sort, have been called of God to lead the way to the Holy One, to none other than our Emmanuel. What a gift it is to us to hear the story, that we might come to recognize that it is those who are on the outside that receive God, the message of God's love first. First the shepherds, then the magi. Over and over again we hear of those who are on the outside receiving God's precious message first. Today, as we gather in this place, we gather as those who are insiders, if you will. Each one of us at some level know why we have come. And deep beneath all of the other reasons why we may have shown up today, we come because our souls have been touched. Our spirits come alive as we have come to worship, to ourselves, pay homage to this child who would grow up to become Christ the King. We ourselves come to humble ourselves. We come to bear gifts. I didn't bring gold or frankincense or myrrh, and I doubt you did either. But what we bring is something far of our presence. We come surrendering our hearts and lives. We lay ourselves at God's altar as we pay homage to the one who has come to save us, to renew us, to restore and redeem us. We have come to worship Jesus, to honor him by allowing Epiphany's light to shine not only above us, but also within us. Our lives become the treasure given to the world. We become vessels through which Epiphany's light shines as we offer our gifts, our time and our talents in service to the infant King. I love the story of Epiphany because it is filled with wonder and it is filled with mystery. It even has a bit of danger, though it is avoided by the Magi. Instead, it is the King himself who will take on the burden of danger. It is he who will have to flee with his family to Egypt in the chapters to come in order to be protected for a season until it is safe to return. The story of Epiphany is an invitation to each one of us to allow our lives to be part of God's story, of the manifestation of God's love revealed in human flesh. First, in a child, in a baby born in Bethlehem, and then born in our hearts, as each one of us give our hearts to him. You see, the revelation that Jesus is the Messiah, the anointed one of God, is a gift to all. It's a gift to all people everywhere, and it is symbolized most beautifully in the arrival of these visitors, foreigners who have come from a distant land seeking the face of God, even though they knew it not. Following a star was the gift of God to them. Following Epiphany's light is the gift that God gives to each of us to guide our way as we enter into this new year, to guide us along the path that God has for each one of us. Each one of us is here by a different route. Each one called to center our lives in our experience of Christ himself, and then directed to go forth from that encounter to live our lives in the world wherever God may lead us and wherever we find ourselves. For the gift of Epiphany is not simply a light to guide our steps, but a life to live within us, none other than the life of Christ, alive in us, living through us, as we become bearers of Christ's light to the world. How wonderful these magi from another land appeared on the scene. What a gift they have revealed to us. What a gift they have given. The truth is that there are epiphanies of God's love for each and for all of us. It doesn't matter where your journey of faith has brought you from or where it takes you next. For we are all on a journey of faith, and God is guiding the way. God will reveal the steps if we will be obedient to follow. There are stars aplenty to beckon us, if only we have eyes to see. Stars that appear in the form of holy friendships, trusted friends to walk together and to serve together alongside, to lend their voices to ours to create a choir. There are stars aplenty, and each one of us have the opportunity to bear a light. You see, friends, Epiphany's light is always shining for those who are willing to seek. So it is on this first Sunday in the year 2024 that we, like the faithful of years gone by, once again return to the table of the Lord, to remember the gift of Christ's presence, the gift of Emmanuel, to remember the light that guides us, the gift of his Spirit that lives within, to partake of bread and cup, to be nourished and strengthened for all that lies ahead. What lies ahead to us is a mystery, but to God it is fully known, as we ourselves are fully known to God. So on this Epiphany Sunday, I invite us to come of the gift that we have been given, of the light that we have been called to receive and share with others. Come, if you are like the Magi, seeking an encounter, a face-to-face encounter with none other than Emmanuel. let us come to the table of the Lord and let us celebrate the sacrament of Holy Communion.